Hello everyone. It's James again. And today I want to make a quick video answering a question that was asked by Nishos. Thanks for the question, Nishos. And the question is: how do I find the right therapist that can help with complex post-traumatic stress disorder? Well, there are a few factors you will want to think about regarding finding someone that can help you out with this problem. The first thing is: do they have a working knowledge or experience regarding narcissistic abuse? Or at least some sort of understanding? And do they have a thirst to learn more? And I say that because we all know finding someone in the therapy field that knows anything about narcissism can be a bit rough. However, I think that is getting better. With that said, if they have a basic working knowledge of narcissism, but they are willing to listen to you and your story, which every good therapist should be willing to do so. But here's the kicker: they shouldn't be thrown off by the fact you might know more about narcissism than they do. You see, some therapists get thrown off when you use certain terms only someone that has researched this problem would know, such as gaslighting, hoovering, triangulation. And if they hear you speak like this, if they accuse you of diagnosing yourself, that's not the right person for you. Because I was once told by a doctor that said, "You know, James, if you were telling me this several years ago, I would have thought you were a liar." But it was because of his personal experience with one of these so-called people. When he heard my story, it fit what he had learned not through textbooks, but through his own experience. He also said that he felt bad that more than likely through several years of his practice, he probably had things wrong in a lot of his couples counseling, and had the finger pointed at the victim thinking they were the evildoer, and siding with the evildoer thinking they were the victim. He also mentioned, "James, you are the expert here and I'm learning too. And my job is to just guide, to give you some things to think about, and some things to try in your life." Now, if you find someone that knows a lot about narcissism, they are willing to listen, and they are great at helping with complex post-traumatic stress disorder, then great. But oftentimes there is a learning curve for the doctor or therapist you might be seeing. With that said, it's important to get one free consultation to find out their skill level, what their ways of dealing with such issues are, and how your knowledge will play into things as well. And just like dealing with a narcissist, don't be afraid to walk away. A mistake may happen and you might pick the wrong doctor. Don't feel like you are now obligated to go through with treatment you're not comfortable with. With that said, one thing you can do is find someone that helps soldiers that spend long time at war. And with that, they should have the willingness to learn about narcissism if they have only basic knowledge. Because if they are willing to learn and listen to your story, they should be able to use a lot of the same things they do with soldiers with you and your issues. I think you will be just fine in finding someone. The problem is really when you are trying to find someone to counsel you and a narcissist. The minute you describe the behavior traits of such a person, most counselors tell you they can't help you. Or you try to find someone stating you think your partner or parent is a narcissist and you need couples or group counseling. They usually will tell you no. And later, we all learned it was for a very good reason. And that's because there is no cure for these so-called people. And it's a waste of everyone's time. However, finding someone that can help with stress disorders is more doable. Now, whether or not they have experience with narcissistic abuse is a different matter. One thing you might do when calling and screening for a therapist: don't use the word narcissist right away in the conversation. Let's say I'm calling a therapist to screen them regarding issues that come from my past relationships and being raised by my mother. I would say something like this: I would like to know what experience you have helping someone that grew up in an emotionally abusive home as a child and may have developed a stress issue as a result. Now you can spin that in a different way if you were abused by a partner, or both partner or parents. but you are asking a generic question and getting a feel for what they have to say without uttering the words narcissism at the beginning. Now that said, if the conversation on the phone is going well as you are screening them, and it opens up for you to say that you are doing the self-work, and that all evidence you've come across is pointing to you being narcissistically abused, and that you are working hard at trying to set boundaries, and or you're going no contact, so forth and so on. But you're just having some real trouble in general due to what you feel might be a stress problem as a result of all that has happened. And you're looking at getting some help for this concern of yours. Now, if this person starts questioning you like you're nuts, like, so how do you really know it's narcissistic abuse and this kind of thing? Then this isn't the therapist for you. But if they ask you what type of research you've done, and your reply is, I honestly don't know for sure if it's narcissism or not. But I've listened to hundreds of people's stories of horrible emotional abuse. And my experiences are almost identical, sadly. And in these stories, the term narcissistic abuse keeps being mentioned. So you did some reading. And the more you read, the more you are reading your story and things that sadly happened to you. If they press any further and try to debunk you in the screening process, you don't need to go any further. But here's the thing. I think a lot of therapists and doctors are reading our posts and watching our videos. And hey, that's good. But I think they are learning. Because I think people seeking help for narcissistic abuse is increasing. I have a neighbor who has no clue I do this kind of help, but told me his doctor suspects he was the victim of narcissistic abuse from his ex-wife. Now it just blew me away when I heard this. And it made me feel hopeful for those wanting to get help. This man said his doctor was very caring and kind, and trying to help him put his life back together. So I believe there is hope. You just have to make sure you ask questions such as the ones I mentioned in the screening process. And if they try to debunk you, or they tell you to be careful with self-diagnosis, or stuff like that, cut them loose right there. Because there's a big difference between self-diagnosing and trying to be educated. This doctor once told me regarding a narcissist, if it walks like a duck and sounds like a duck, it's probably a duck. You might be off on the type or variety, but it's a duck. Maybe it's a narcissist. Maybe it's a borderline. Maybe it's a codependent that hasn't done the self-work. Or maybe it's a sociopath. Or maybe it's a psychopath. But in this doctor's words, you don't need to rack your brain to find out exactly which one they are. You know they are toxic for your life. And if they are remotely acting like any of these, even if they aren't one of these, still run for the hills. You will have a better life for it. And if you're wrong about the type of person they are, there is still no harm done by you trusting your gut. And sadly there are some doctors that don't want you to do that. Or they don't want to teach you that. They want you to trust them only. That's why some of them still get touchy when you start mentioning certain terms and things. Because they feel like they are losing their job because this information is now on the net for everyone to find. But what they aren't realizing, though you may have the basics down of what the problem is, you may still need to talk to someone to help you get a game plan together for your journey to a healthier life. Some therapists and doctors get this fact. Some don't. Stay away from those that don't. And if you make a mistake and end up with the wrong doctor, trust your gut. If your gut tells you this is all wrong, you don't have to go back at all. You can find someone else. Also, something to keep in mind, and this goes along the line of trusting your gut. Some doctors and therapists are narcissists themselves. Not all. But there are some that are. So if you get the same vibe from your therapist as you did your parents or partner, trust your gut instinct. Now, while you're doing all of this, my suggestion is this. Get outside as much as you can. Exercise a handful of times a week if your health allows it. And try to take up a hobby that gets you around people. No matter if it's an art class, dance class, or some other hobby where you're smiling and interacting with others. And no, you don't have to make these people your best friends. But I've found when you have a place to go with fun people to be around for a few hours, it will give you something to look forward to. And laughter and having a good time will lessen those stress chemicals your body produces from the mental pain you might be feeling due to what you went through, which can manifest into physical problems if these stress chemicals are always firing inside of your body. Nichos. I hope you found this helpful. Please let me and the rest of us know how it's going. Also, if the rest of you guys and gals have tips, please share them in the comments section. Because the more we share, the more we grow. Well, that's all I have for now. I do hope everyone had a blessed day. And until next time, bye for now. And be good to yourself.